What's going on, guys? Joe Ingram1, aka Chicago Joey here. Welcome to a Actually, this isn't a live stream. We're recording this. We're going to edit it. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. But we're here with a new Monday night high stakes poker. For those of you guys that didn't see the first video of this I did back in December, we kind of take a look at the high stakes action, go over the hands, talk about the hands, look at the results, talk about the players. And ever since back in December, there really hasn't been too much high stakes action going on that I've been really excited to talk about. We've had some periods of time where PLO was certainly rocking a bit. We've had a couple no limit interesting time periods as well. But for the most part, nothing like what we've been seeing lately. Isildur 1 is back. He's back playing very high stakes heads up PLO, high stakes 8 game, going through millions of dollars, $1 million upswings and downswings. So this is going to be a two-parter. Part 1 is going to be just Isildur's action from this month so far, May. We're going to take a look at the matches he played against dbre, Ben86, and Sauce1234, aka Ben Sulsky. Going to look at some hands, see how he did. And then part 2, there's been a lot of high stakes, 6 max, 100, 200, 200, 400 PLO action going on. We're going to take a look at some hands played there as well. As you can see, I'm not in my normal setup. I'm laying in a bed right now trying to figure out the most GTO way to situate these pillows so I feel slightly comfortable. And I was going to wait till I went back home, but I'm still out here in San Diego. I just wanted to put a video together. Wanted to get this out there because the action's been really fun. And yeah, so on the sidebar, you're going to see to the right, I think to your left actually, you can click and you'll be able to go to any part of the video you want. So if you want to go to the other matches or different parts of the match, click on that. It'll take you to it. Part 2, link will be in the description, or you can also click on it, I believe, at the bottom. I'm not sure. It's one of the bottom sides here. Just look to the bottom. You'll see it. So let's get started. We're going to first take a look at the April results. All right, so here we can see the results for April. It has Isildur 1 as the top winner, up 624,000. Flong 78, who was a big PLO grinder, 5, 10, 10, 20 for a while. Now I think he plays the high stakes mixed games on Stars, and he's obviously been doing pretty well. On these results, some people can opt out, so some people might be winning more, winning less on either of the sites, but you're not going to be able to see that because you have an option to send high stakes database, something like that. So these are just the people that are tracked. We got Hollywood Haxton down there, 64K. We got one of my old roommates, Bamboo Eater, who's a heads up no limit player. Looks like he's doing pretty well. And we can also see the biggest losers here. We got Noel Hayes, who's also big nitty banker on Full Tilt. Been some speculation made on who he might be. Some allegations made that he's some guy who's going through some legal issues. I know another poster in the high stakes thread on 2+2 was speculating he was an American player, maybe Harrington, but I have no inside information. I don't know quite who he is, but I'm sure we'll figure it out sometime soon who he is. Obviously, we got Illyry Finn on here, who went through a monster upswing to start the year, but he's due for a downswing. We got Vroom, our Finnish player, who I don't think he ever actually had a downswing prior to maybe this month, and looks like he's down 170K. Got Spirit Rock, Prahlad Friedman, Phil Ivey, and his never-ending downswing, of course, on both screen names on here. So those are the results for April. Let's get to the action. A lot of people in the 2+2 thread and high stakes thread was where we take all these hands. I got to give a big shout out to everyone who post the hands on 2+2. What a Drama, Testy, my boy Anfield. You guys are doing some great work. Keep it up. Much appreciated. Especially What a Drama. For you guys that don't know, don't follow the high stakes thread on 2+2, you should be. All the actions posted in there. What a Drama is a new poster. He's got a very unique style where he posts like a couple sentences before each post. So he'll be like, "This guy's a fucking idiot," or "What a terrible play," or he'll make some funny quote, a debatably funny quote, depending on, I guess, who you are reading the thread, as now he's been getting some backlash because he started upping the amount of strategy he posted. And we're actually going to take a look at one of his strategy posts that he made in the high stakes thread because it's an interesting post. We're going to take a look at that later. But big shout out to What a Drama, man. Keep up the good work. We really appreciate it. And without you guys posting the hands, I think poker online cash games would just be so much more boring for everybody else to go over. And I know a lot of high stakes regs regularly read the thread. I know they're probably going to watch this video. Shout out to them. Keep battling. Keep putting in hours. Keep at it, man. But this is the biggest question that's been asked in the thread. Everyone says, who is dbre? Is dbre not Prahlad Friedman? Is dbre Harrington? Is dbre, who is he? Who is this guy? No one knows. Well, dbre, very long time 2+ tour, very long time high stakes player. If you search for dbre on 2+2, you'll be able to find a very epic thread that he started up, I think it was a couple years ago, where he kind of talks about his life, the upswings, the downswings. Great thread. Young man goes by the name of Sean. Raphael's his real name, and plays as with color on PokerStars. But yeah, it's not some big secret player. It's not David Williams via Harrington via Aria Boo. It's not nothing like that. Allegedly, it's nothing like that going on. And yeah, but he's been around for a while. He's definitely played very high stakes previously in the past, and yeah, that's pretty much the basis of who he is. So we're gonna get into the match. We're gonna take a look. Some of the editing on this might be a little off because I'm not on my normal setup, and I kind of have to click through the slides in recording the video. So I'm gonna try to make it work best and flow pretty seamlessly. And I'm also going to try, I have a bunch of hands, maybe 14 to 15 hands. We're going to go over them. And if I run out too long, I don't want this to be that long, I'm just going to cut some hands out later. So we'll see how it goes. Also, for the scoop, guys, as we know, scoop starting right now. I'm going to be doing live streams of final tables of the big events. I'm going to be doing fantasy drafts. I'm going to have on guest. We did that during WCoop. People seem to really like it. We're going to be doing that again for the scoop, and I hope you guys tune in and enjoy that as well. I'll be posting that on my YouTube, on my Twitter, in the Facebook group, pretty much all the normal spots. So let's get into the action. To start the month here, Isildur was playing Kagome. Kagome? Is his name Kagome? I think his name is Hasu, Hasu on 2+2, I believe. Apparently, he was one-tabling at 1K, 2K, 2-7 heads up, according to Andro here. He made about $1 million. Man, what the fuck? $1 million, 5K hands. Pretty normal, I guess. Pretty normal. So this is his start to the month. It was about 2 days in. And then at some point in time, a couple days later, we got a post right here that was said, big 250, 500 PLO action coming up. Now, for you guys that follow the high stakes, this ain't normal lately. This does not happen. There's not just randomly four-tabling high stakes sets of PLO happening. dbre needed some water in a water closet. I don't know what water closet is. Maybe it's some sort of dream machine reference to dbre's dream machine. I'm not sure. But the match was on, and I think people got pretty excited. Take a look at the first hand here posted. By the way, I really like this. I really like the way that it's posted with the picture right here. I feel like it's really easy to cover, but I am a little bit worried that, I guess I'm not worried at all, but I think that this is probably extremely annoying to actually input to the screen as the user. So what a drama, pretty much I'd like type all this out every single time there was a big hand, which yeah, seems really annoying. But yeah, this was one of the big first hands. This definitely is not one of the more interesting hands of the match, but I just wanted to start off the match with, I wanted to kind of include a couple. There really weren't many interesting hands from the first part. There was a couple different segments of the match, which the later segments were for sure more interesting. Obviously, Isildur was at the tail end of his session. He was debatably tilted, maybe playing a little bit worse because I don't want to give any spoilers of the results, but you guys have been following, so I guess I feel like I just kind of spoiled it. But yeah, Isildur wasn't doing these degenerate, he didn't have these degen tendencies in the past bunch of months. Speculation going on that he might have been staked before, and on this run up to the top, he's not staked, because I feel like when he's staked, he's not just going to go 20-hour session off someone else's money playing all the best players at Heads Up PLO, but when he's playing in his own money, he just don't give a fuck, man. He doesn't care. He likes battling, man. He likes getting in the streets. He likes playing for the glory, and you got to love that, man. You got to enjoy seeing that. Obviously, sometimes it ends bad, sometimes it ends good, but As an outsider, I love seeing it, and I hope Isildur, sticks around for quite a long time. But yeah, first hand, pretty basic. Isildur raises 1500 on the button with King Jack 5-7, King 5 diamonds. Pretty fun hand. Doorbred 3 bets, a beautiful hand. Double suited aces. Isildur calls, flops 7-4-3 with mono. So Isildur has top pair, gut shot, backdoor, flush draw, backdoor quadra. And Doorbred has backdoor hard draw. And this is kind of an interesting spot and heads up PLO where, for those guys that don't know, that haven't seen one of the hand histories, this isn't a strategy video. This isn't run it once. Shout out to run it once. This isn't a Twitch stream where I'm telling you about the entire thought process. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the hands. I'm not going to get too into it. And unless you guys want to pay me $100 million or something like that, then I'll talk some strategy. But otherwise, this isn't going to be super strategic discussion on the hands. So this is one of those spots where obviously it's a better flop for the pre-flop caller typically than the 3-better. And so Doorbred decides to check. Isildur decides to bet his hand. Bets 5,000 into 9,000. I mean, it's kind of like, I think it's a pretty normal bet by him. Doorbred check calls. Definitely in Doorbred's position, this is going to be a pretty tricky hand to play later on because there's going to be a lot of turn cards where you're just going to be, you're going to be definitely put in some later tough spots if your opponent shows aggression. But he decides to check call, turns a queen. He obviously has a queen in his hand, which blocks some 2 pair hands Isildur could have. Isildur turns a backdoor flush draw. Doorbred checks. Isildur bets 12.5k into 19,000. This is a spot Isildur could check back. He could bet as well. I don't think either way you can go wrong. Doorbred does check call. Rivers a 2, which Ace 5 gets there, but with the 2 ace blockers by Doorbred doesn't change much. Definitely a debatable spot for Isildur. He could turn his hand into a bluff. He also might think that Doorbred might check call most hands that he did check call on the flop and turn here. But he does decide to go all in, 28,000, turning his hand into a bluff. Obviously, Doorbred calls and takes down the first $100,000 pot of this session. Nice hand, Doorbred. Next hand up here is, I believe Isildur 1 was running pretty well during this time period. And obviously when an opponent has momentum against you, I think some players might treat that situation differently when someone's, won 3 or 4 big buy-ins. It might make them play worse. It might make them play better. It might, actually, I feel like it takes a very special person to make them play better. But it's definitely a spot where you sometimes might decide to decrease. You might try to, I think, get all in with a bit better equity than you. I mean, I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's just how I approach the situation. Only when I'm running bad, I'm usually getting in with the worst side. Never mind, man. I can't even talk about that. Never mind. But yeah, so this hand, Doorbred raises queen, 5, jack. 1 suit on the button. Isildur 3 bets, ace 8, 2, 7 double suited. Doorbred calls. Flop, interesting, 4, 3, 2, 2 spades. Both of them flop flush draws. Isildur has a pair, gut shot, straight draw, and this is a pretty interesting spot. Isildur checks. Doorbred bets half pot. Isildur decides to check YOLO. And yeah, I don't really want to talk about this one, I guess, too much, but I think I guess Doorbred doesn't. I guess, I wonder if Doorbred has a decision. He does block 5-6, which does make it more likely Isildur probably has a flush draw. I would suspect he normally would have a higher flush draw than Jack 5, or than Jack High potentially in this situation. This is definitely, I think Doorbred bet on the flop. It could go either way as well. Isildur's check raise. I feel like I wouldn't want to check raise here, but you got a flush draw and a gut shot straight draw. How bad can it be, right? He does check raise. Doorbred gets it all in. They run it twice. Isildur scoops it, and Isildur takes down that pot as well. This next hand is it was the biggest pot up into this point. And this hand, I was thinking about this hand. What does happen in this hand? It's an interesting hand. So Doorbred opens, ace, king, 6-9 double suited. Isildur 3-bets, queen, 5-3 double suited. Couple pretty good hands here. Doorbred decides to call. They are, I believe they start out the hand 80,000 effective. Flops jack 4-2. Doorbred's got a king high flush draw. Isildur has a straight draw and overpair. He bets 6,500. Doorbred decides to call. Turn is a 9, which gives Doorbred a backdoor 2-pair draw and his backdoor trip draw. And Isildur still has an overpair. He does block some straight draws that Doorbred could have. Obviously still has his straight draw as well. He decides to bet 16,000 and 22,000. Doorbred calls again. This is where the hand gets pretty interesting, I think. But maybe not that interesting, because the river's a 9. It pairs the board. Obviously, Isildur in this spot, when he bets the river, he's representing an overpair, aces, kings, maybe queens, I guess. I mean, pretty much representing an overpair of any kind when he does bet here. Or a 9 he could have as well, too. And obviously, Doorbred's not folding. But I guess Isildur, when I've looked at the hands, he really seems like he enjoys betting pot on the river in a lot of spots. So he probably thinks in this situation that if Doorbred has a jack, he might call. If he has a hand like ace jack, XX sort of thing, he's going to call. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like, what worse do you get called by in this situation? So I feel like Isildur, if Doorbred has a lot of his draws, so what hands would Doorbred call the river with? That Isildur beats, I guess, only a jack. Obviously, he's going to fold all his other flush draws. I mean, who knows? Maybe Doorbred calls with. I mean, I don't think Doorbred calls with anything else but a jack here in this spot. So yeah, I mean, would Doorbred fold better potentially? Like kings, for instance? I would imagine no, but so maybe, I guess this is just a spot where Isildur wants to be able to bluff this river, so he wants to be able to also be betting queens here for value to potentially get called by a jack. So he does bet. Doorbred calls. He's got trips. The old backdoor trip draw, which I tell you guys about all the time, and I know some people don't take me seriously, but this hand is a $161,000 representation of the power of the backdoor trip draw. And then at that point, I think they took a little bit break. They weren't playing for that long of a time period. I believe that Doorbred ended, I think he ended up a couple buy-ins after the first session. It wasn't anything too interesting. And at some point in time, he had to take a meeting. Dora off to take a meeting. I guess Doorbred was sleepy, and before you know it, Isildur was craving the action. I believe he might have actually been up at this point. Or down. It was a very negligible difference. But he decides to play Hacker Ben 86. And before you know it, Doorbred all of a sudden woke up from that nap very fast. He's like, man, I think Isildur, I don't want Isildur to lose all that money back he just won against me. So yeah, Isildur was up. Yeah, I mean, allegedly. Who knows? We only have the results to go off by people that posted in high stakes database, which aren't 100% accurate. So, but for the instance of this video, we're going to treat the results posted as 100% accurate and word of bond. So before you know it, Doorbred was back up, and he was ready to play 4 tables pretty quickly after that. And Hacker Ben will not be seen until later. Well, actually, I don't know if he's seen again. I think Hacker Ben Sulsky will be seen again. And yeah, so next hand we got here is I would have drawn post pretty 6-spot to turn hand to a bluff. I'm guessing that's what he was up to. I like what a drama, man. He asks questions. He's trying to learn. He's trying to get better. He's trying to pick up some strategy. I got a lot of love for that. And so it was okay. What do we got here? Okay. So Isildur raises a 9-10-4-7 on the button. Doorbred 3-bets ace jack, ace queen jack, double suited. What a beautiful hand. Isildur calls, flaps king jack 6. Doorbred's got a set of jacks and a gut shot and a backdoor royal flush draw. Isildur has a crappy flush draw and a crappy straight draw. But Doorbred continuation bets 5,500 and 9,000. Isildur calls, the riv turns a queen. Pretty dynamic card there. It completes 9-10, queen, and completes ace 10. Isildur does have 9-10 in this spot. Doorbred bets 14.5k into 2000. Interesting by Isildur. He decides to just call with his hand here. I think it's a good play. River doesn't change much. Doorbred bets 38,000 into 49,000. And so what a drama says, pretty sick spot to turn your hand into a bluff. I'm guessing that's what he was up to. Well, unfortunately, what a drama. In this instance, I don't think he's turning his hand into a bluff, because it doesn't make much sense to turn your hand into a bluff. This isn't a bluff. This is definitely for value. What could he get value from, you ask? Well, in this situation, he has a blocker to ace 10. He probably suspects Isildur would raise ace 10 on the turn. Therefore, the only hand, he probably actually thinks Isildur would raise 9-10 on the turn as well. So I think there actually is a fair number of hands Isildur or Doorbred will get value from here. I think a lot of hands that contain a 10, king, queen, 10 type hand. You also might raise it on the flop as well. I think just a lot of hands that include some type of two-pair combo with a 10 in it, he does get value from. Obviously, also in this spot, Doorbred does be wanting to bet as a bluff, so he thinks he probably should be betting his hand here for value as well. So I think it might be a little bit, I don't even think it's really that thin of a value bet, but he goes ahead and bets. Isildur calls. Isildur takes down a $125,000 pot. Nice hand, Isildur. Next up, we have a 300k chop on I love these. I love the hand history. You'll see the other hand histories posted later. A testy posted it. I just love these better. They're so much easier to follow and read. So let's see. Wow, what the this hand was. I didn't understand what the fuck was happening in this hand when I saw it first. Did they get all in the flop? Oh, they got all in on the flop. Okay, I thought they got it all on the turn, which was fucking weird. But so they're 150,000 deep, 150 big blinds. Oh no, this hand makes way more sense now in retrospect. Interesting place here. Okay, so Isildur raises ace 7-5-6 with the ace high suit. Doorbred 3 bets queen jack 3-10 double suited. Isildur decides to 4-bet his hand. Definitely a little bit loose, but you got an ace high suit. How bad could it be? Doorbred calls, flaps queen 7-3. Top and bottom for Doorbred. Backdoor diamond draw, backdoor straight draw. Isildur has middle pair, gut shot, nut flush draw. Doorbred checks. Isildur bets 18,000. Oh, this is pretty standard. They run it twice and chop it up. Yeah, this is definitely standard. So what I thought happened was, I thought the turn. I know what the fuck I read this hand. Obviously, I'm just confused reading. I thought the turn was a 7, and at some point in time, Doorbred checked. I thought Doorbred check raised the turn, turning his top and bottom into a bluff. I was like, the fuck was Doorbred doing in this hand? But never mind, this hand's normal. I didn't know why I showed this hand. Very standard hand, very standard hand. And next hand we have with Doorbred here is, let's see here. Yeah, another interesting hand actually. Isildur raises ace 5, 3 queen, 1 suit. Doorbred 3 bets jack 10, 9, 1 suit as well. Isildur calls, flops ace jack 6. So Isildur has top pair. Couple backdoor straight draws. Doorbred has middle pair, backdoor, middle pair, back. Ooh, got 2 backdoor quad draws. As you guys know, a backdoor quad draw is a very good thing. We'll get into reverse blockers and backdoor quad draw GTO theory in a little bit. Wait, game theory, GTO theory, game theory, optimal theory. I don't think that works. But Doorbred c-bets the flop, 5,500. Isildur calls. Turn 4 clubs. Once again, Doorbred decides to bet 15.5. Isildur once again calls with top pair. He now turns straight draw. Rivers a jack. Backdoor flush draw gets there. An actual quad draw gets there. Doorbred checks his 3 jacks. Now Isildur decides to turn his hand into a bluff. I guess he's trying to get Doorbred to fold ace king. Is the only thing. I think he just has showdown here. I don't know why he just doesn't check back. Does he trying to get Doorbred to fold jack potentially? I don't know. Is Doorbred's pot on the river once again? Obviously, we see he likes to bet pot. I mean, Doorbred, so I'm just thinking what hand Doorbred think Isildur would have in this spot. Because Doorbred blocks like a king, queen, 10 type hand. I don't think 10 clubs that relevant of a hand. He probably doesn't think Isilur's going to turn like an ace into a... I guess he could turn a worse ace than ace queen into a bluff here. Okay, Doorbred calls, takes it down, 153k pot. So at this point in time, Doorbred decided to, I believe, quit the match. And then he ended up about $400,000, about 8 buy-ins, which 8 buy-ins isn't that much, but at these stakes, it's a lot. Then, about 10 hours later, Isildur decides to start playing Sauce on a couple tables, which, for those who don't know Sauce is one of the... Sauce has been Sulsky. He's debatably one of the best heads-up PLO players in the world, debatably one of the best poker minds in the world, and not really the person you want to be playing heads-up PLO, but Isildur decided to sit down, and we'll take a look at... We got 2 hands here before we take a look at the first section graph and the action there. Let's see this hand. Look at Sauce, getting tricky. Okay. So they're about 82,000 deep. As you can see, this is the other hand poster. You can post it. I'm curious what you guys like better. I kind of like the other one better, I think. It's just easier to read. When you're scrolling through the thread, it's easier to read. I guess in retrospect, reading this now, this is obviously pretty easy to read when it's just one hand. When you're going over a ton of hands in the high stakes thread, it becomes a little more challenging to read. So 82k deep. Isildur opens king, queen, 10-8, 3 spades. Or I'm sorry, Sauce opens 3-2-2-6 on the button. Isildur 3 bets, Sauce calls. I don't think Sauce is folded to a 3-bet heads up PLO in his life. Flops Jack 6-6. Sauce flops trips. Isildur flops a backdoor straight flush draw. Backdoor row. Oh my god, a backdoor row, flush draw, and a couple backdoor trip draws. Backdoor straight draw as well. He bets half pot. Sauce makes a small raise to 11,400. Isildur decides to call, trying to play his black doors. Turns an 8, does turn one of his back doors, which gives him a backdoor trip draw. His backdoor trip draw and backdoor straight draw actually come in. Sauce plays it tricky, decides to check back. River 7 completes a backdoor straight draw 9-10. Isildur turns his hand into a bluff. He bets pot. In this spot, so Isildur, when he bets pot here, he's representing like a 6-8 or a 6-7 hand. Jack's... I don't know what I just don't know why. Isildur loves betting pot. I just, like... I mean... I guess we only have the heads-up PLO results to look at, but it doesn't look like betting pot in the river in a lot of spots. I don't think that can be the best approach. I just don't think it can be. But Sauce checks back, plays it slow. I'm sure on this river he wasn't enjoying life that much, but he does call, and his tricky line ends up taking down a 95k pot. Nice hand, Sauce. Next hand of the first session is, once again, Isildur. What the fuck? Isildur's crazy, man. God, if you don't make hands, Isildur's terrible to play. I mean, if you don't actually have hands, these pot-sized river bets are going to be... Maybe I need to think about these pot-sized river bets more often. You know, maybe people are underutilizing the pot-sized bet. Maybe it's something for us to think about, boys. Yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, maybe it's quite interesting, I guess. You know, Isildur raises here in this spot, 6-6-2-7. Sauce defends king 4-5-2 double suited, flops jack 7-6. Isildur's bottom set. Sauce hash bottom end of a straight draw, backdoor diamond draw. He check raises to 9,300. They're about almost 200 big blinds deep. Isildur calls. The turn's an 8 of diamonds, which... I don't know what the fuck Isildur's doing here. I just don't know what he's... I guess, you know, Sauce is going to be check raising here with... Obviously, he's not always going to flush draw here, so... And when the 8 of diamonds comes in the turn, it's debatable whether Sauce would bet a 4-5, 9-10, 5-9. Obviously, if he had a set himself, you know, would he bet those hands here? Would he only be betting a flush on the turn is the question. But obviously, Isildur does have outs as well with his bottom set. But Sauce goes ahead and bets 13.7 into 21,600. Isildur calls. River's a 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jack, not a very good board for a set of sixes. Sauce is so sick. He just checks this river, huh? What a sick check. God damn, dude. Because, man, what a sick check. I guess he does think that. So in this spot, I guess he just has to think Isildur is going to turn a hand into a bluff slash bet a worse flush for value here more often than he'll have a hand where he's going to bluff catch with. But he checks. Isildur pots his hand, which, for the sake, maybe he was making a training video. For the sake of the video, I guess he potted. And Sauce obviously has an easy call. He was probably like, oh, I actually don't know why he didn't just check jam, but obviously the nut flush is possible too. And they are pretty deep. You don't really want to, yeah. Definitely, yeah. Nice hand, Sauce. Takes it down, 147K pot. So, that was first session, boys. Cordy asked about the action, said that dbre won 6.5 buy-ins, and then What a Drama. I love What a Drama's post, man. This guy gives just such great narratives, and he says he made an incredible comeback and won basically every 100K pot in the last hour. Pretty similar to what happens every time Isildur plays somebody heads up. Gets out to an early lead, looks to be crushing, loses a few big pots, tilts, spews, and doesn't quit. The kid should be up like 20 million total in his poker career. He's had so many 500K 1 mil scores. It's truly confounding how he hasn't learned to control it yet. Is confounding the right word we're looking for there? Dumbfounding might be the word you're looking for, buddy. But yeah, you know, unfortunately, What a Drama. These other things are a pretty big part. Just because you have the talent to make that amount of money in a session doesn't necessarily mean that you should be up that money, because these other skills, being able to quit, being able to not play people who are going to pwn you on average, are a big part of what makes a good poker player too. So, and you know, if Isildur had those talents, or those he portrayed those tendencies, then yes, he probably should be up that much money. But unfortunately, he probably shouldn't be up that much money with the lack of discipline he shows in many different areas of the game. And it's actually probably a good thing. Or I guess not. Once again, I'm not sure. We'll use confounding as well. It's confounding how Isildur remains in action when he's probably lost millions of dollars of his own money, allegedly. It's a testament. It's a testament to how much talent he actually does have, and that he can keep getting staked by people to play these games, because he probably shouldn't be playing poker anymore with the lack of discipline that he has. And is that true? Should he not be playing poker with the lack of discipline that he has? Because clearly he's got some shitty lack of discipline, and it's been this way for years. So maybe he should always play staked, because we didn't see these things happen recently. And the only difference I would assume is that there was a lot of speculation he was being staked. And now, you know, if you talk to some people, he's not being staked anymore. So, but if he keeps having sessions like this, I don't know. But this gets us into the next segment of the session. So Sauce ends up here, 420,000. dbre wins a couple $400,000, and then as you can see, this is the graph, I believe, for up until that point. He loses 600,000. It goes cold, but at some point in time, there's no hands posted on this. As you can see here, Isildur decides to go back to his bread and butter, which is the 8 game. Isildur crushes 8 game. I don't know why Isildur just doesn't. Obviously, I want Isildur to play PLO because it's obviously fun to watch him play. But he just crushes these 8 games, man. Maybe the tilt there just isn't as much of a bad thing for, you know. I'm not sure what it is. But he ends up getting in a 3-handed game with Phil Ivey and Big Nitty Banker. As you can see here, he's got a $556,000 stack. Bang, bang. Anfield says, sickest action in years. Blom was deep in the red until going on a $600,000 heater in 8 hours. Look at this. He loses the money, heads up PLO, makes it all back. Man, dude, what a fucking legend this guy is, dude. played 20 hours straight, quit, said he's going to bed. After that last winning session, then he was back at it for 3 hours. Here's a quick snapshot. So according to this, he made back about 900,000. This first couple 400K, I believe, was the start of the next dbre session. Yeah, after 1,000 hands, he was up 278,000. And so, yeah, man, up like he made over $1 million back in a very, I mean, this is, you know, maybe he should be up 20 million. Who knows? I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. It's crazy. And then Isildur cashed out and he took the night off. He booked his $1 million comeback and he was done. Or did he? Well, let's get into the action. We're back at it here. So we got, let's see how many hands we got here. Yeah. Now things are going to get interesting, boys. So, back playing dbre here. 81,000 deep. Don't see Isildur's hand here. Dbre opens ace, king, 8-10, 1 suit. Very good hand. Isildur 3 bets. I'm actually surprised dbre doesn't 4-bet a hand like this, but he doesn't. And he just calls, flops ace, king, 2 diamonds. Drebre's got top 2 pair, and also he's got a top set blocker and middle set blocker. Isildur bets, dbre calls, turns a 4. Isildur bets 16,000. Dbre calls once again with his top 2 pair. River's a 3, so it's ace, 2, 4, 3. Straight draw is there, but dbre makes such a sick bet on the river. Bets 41,000, 54,000. And, God, such a sick value bet. You know, in retrospect, I think we look at a hand like this. We're like, is it that sick? He's got top 2 pair. He can call by worse. But, you know, does he expect Isildur to check a 5 here? Probably not. Obviously, he's going to have 5s in his 3-betting range pre-flop. Isildur range, But, God, what a sick value bet, man. I love it. Nice hand. Dbre takes it down, 135K. Next hand. Oh my God, 200K pot here. Isildur raises up, ace queen, 8-7, 8 nut suit. Isildur raises ace queen jack 4 nut suit. Dbre 3 bets ace queen 8-7. Isildur calls, flops king 10-7. Dbre has backdoor club draw, couple not the best backdoor trip draws to have, and gut shot. Isildur flops a wrap and backdoor flush draw. Pretty powerful hand. Dbre decides to check call here. Well, Dbre does have bottom pair too. Oh, actually, he gives him a couple backdoor full house draws. And a backdoor quad draw. I like his play. Okay. Check calls. Check call here is definitely going to maybe get you in some tricky spots. And, yes, it's definitely a tricky way to play the hand. I mean, he blocks straight draws. So he blocks straight draws. I think I'd rather just bet this hand in this spot, but I think it just makes the hand a bit easier to play in later straights. Especially like if I think all the cards that improve Drebre's hand, Isildur probably isn't going to bluff. So I just think it's going to be way too, just like a very tricky hand to play. But you mean backdoor and a flush draw, backdoor quad draw, how bad can it be? And I got shot to the nuts, obviously. 9 on the turn. Once again, so this is like a tricky card that he's now has blockers to both hands, but he only has a pair of 7s, so he doesn't really have a good hand. But this is why he's dbre. He check raises the turn. Well, if you're going to check raise the turn, then, you know, I like it. Check raises the turn. Isildur turns the nuts. Isildur calls, hoping that either dbre has blockers that he's turning into a bluff. Well, I mean, I guess he could have a worse straight too. Jack 8. Yeah, Jack 8 seems like a real possibility. Isildur might think if he goes all in on the turn. I think he just has a hand like he has enough of the time where yeah. I mean, I guess in Isildur's spot, obviously, as we can see, dbre's going to be check raising a hand like this, so Isildur does want to be calling some hands on the turn that can call a river unimproved as well. And obviously the nuts in this spot with a redraw is a great hand to have. Obviously, there's some merit to potentially. There's some. I just, like, what does he lose value from if he raises the turn? If he re-raises the turn? A hand like Jack 8, basically, that's it. So let's say the board pairs in the river, or the backdoor flush draw gets there. So now he potentially loses value from Jack 8, but I think he makes enough value from. Or, also there's some merit to him losing value from a worse Queen Jack as well when a Queen or Jack comes. But at the same time, I think he probably just expects dbre to always bet a one card straight in that spot anyway. So probably doesn't lose any value from a hand like that. He does gain potential value from all his bluffs on the river. And obviously in this spot, when dbre knows that Isildur can have Queen Jack here, it just gives you something more to think about. I think at this level, everyone's capable of having Queen Jack here, but there's some players who are definitely, who I think are less likely to have Queen Jack here. And being this deep, yeah, I think calling the turn is definitely a really good play. River's 3, dbre turns hand to a bluff. And, I guess it does kind of show you why check calling this flop just puts you in some shitty fucking spots, because you end up putting in 200 big blinds in this spot when you could have just, I feel like bet the flop and just played your hand for, just go from there. So, nice hand. Let's see. Next hand here. Once again, $94,000 deep. Dbre raises. Ace King A2. Isildur 3-bets Queen 10, 7-4, double suited. Probably losing at this point, I'm assuming, if he's 3-betting this bad of a hand this deep. Dbre calls, flops 6-6-2. Ooh, okay. No one flops anything. Drebre's got a bottom pair blocker, a couple overcards. Isildur C-bets half pot. Dbre calls. 6-6-2, obviously going to be, against a tough player, 200 big blinds deep. When you're 3-betting a hand like Queen 7-7-4, this is going to be a fucking tough spot to play. Turn, Queen of Spades, backdoor flush draw for dbre. Isildur turns a pair. He check calls. Is Drebre's bet. I like Drebre's bet in the turn. River is an ace of diamonds. Isildur decides to represent aces. Pots it. I don't know. I'm not sure what he expects. Does he expect dbre to fold a 6 here? Does he expect dbre to fold an ace here? I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's pot again, Dbre hero calls, 135k pot done. Let's try to get through these last hands. We got a bunch more hands. How many hands we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 4 more hands. Oh, it's not bad at all. Okay. Got a couple minutes. We're going to make it under an hour. Perfect. All right, next hand. Once again, 200 big blinds deep. Isildur raises 4-8, 5-7. Dbre defends Queen 6-6-3. Flop 7-4-3. Isildur flops top 2 pair, gut shot straight, and dbre has blockers. What do we do with blockers, guys? We get all the fucking money in with blockers. That's what we do with blockers. If you're not bluffing your blockers all in, you're not doing something right. As you can see, Drebre's doing something right though. Turn 2. Isildur bets pot once again. He likes betting pot here. I wonder if that's a tell. Isildur's got a hand here on the turn. He bets pot. Dbre check raises. He's got blockers. Well, he does have a straight draw too. How bad can it be? He check raises. Isildur calls. River Jack is, damn, this is a huge fucking river shove. I like Drebre's turn sizing to set up a pot size river shove. Goes all in 65,000. Isildur obviously has blockers to, I don't necessarily think this is the, when you got a blocker to 5-6 on Isildur's part, how likely is it that person has 5-6, right? He calls. He's probably tilted as well. Takes down a $200,000 pot. Nice hand, Isildur. And I believe this is the last hand. Again, or that was the last hand. No, this is the last hand against dbre. All right. So last hand against dbre here. I don't know what the fuck. This hand doesn't make sense to me. Dbre, Isildur raises ace queen. Ace king, queen 9, queen high suit. Pretty good hand. Dbre 3 bets ace king, king 2, 1 suit. Isildur calls, flops ace 9, 3. So top 2 pair for Isildur. Nut flush, second nut flush draw on top pair For doorbread, he bets half pot again. Isildur calls. Turn is a 7 of spades. Doorbread bets again with his flush. Isildur calls once again. River's a 9, so only aces beat Isildur. Doorbread decides to bet. I think his value bet's fine. He blocks full houses, and I think he expects Isildur to have a worse flush. But Isildur calls. I just, maybe Doorbread wasn't 3-betting that much, to where having aces here is just such a. But I just feel like from looking at these other hands, I just don't understand why Isildur wouldn't raise I guess he just had to not have been 3-betting that much this deep, because looking at the other hands and looking at Isildur, I just really am surprised he doesn't jam the river here. But he doesn't. I'm really surprised. And did Isildur lose value? I think he did. I just think he did. But, like I said, he must have been playing pretty tight from big blind then, in terms of 3-betting. So, Isildur takes down 116K pot. That could have potentially been a $200,000 pot. And that's the last hand of the Isildur doorbet session. Isildur ends up losing $445,000 that session to doorbread. And so far, he ends up making a bunch of money, losing it to Ben Sulsky Sauce and doorbread the first time, makes it all back playing high stakes mixed games, then comes back, loses a bunch of doorbread, and now, as we'll see, he ends up playing Sauce. Once again, Sauce, man, good PLO player, man. Guy makes a lot of hands. When you make a lot of hands and you're good at PLO, it's gonna be hard to play. It's gonna be hard to beat you. This hand right here, Isildur opens 8-8-6-2. They're about 47,000 deep. Sauce 3-bets 5-3-3-7 double suited. Isildur defends, flops Jack 6-7, 2 clubs. So Sauce flops a 5-high flush draw in middle pair. Isildur has a couple backdoor quad draws. It's getting dark in here. Sauce checks. Isildur bets half pot. Sauce calls. Turn ace of clubs. Gives Sauce the flush. Checks again. Man, Sauce, dude. Just call and pray. Call and pray. Check calls. River. Isildur goes all, or puts Sauce all in for 28,000 effective into 39,000, representing a flush. Sauce calls. Not really much to say about that hand. Nice hand. Sauce making hands, winning the money. Huh. What the fuck's happening here? Okay. Sauce opens here. 5-7-8-9, double suited. Isil 3-bets, King 10, Queen Jack. Wow, pretty hands. Sauce 4-bets this hand, like it. Isildur calls. I think we haven't. I feel like they probably weren't 4-betting. I mean, I wish we. From the hands I saw posted, there weren't many 4-bets going on. So, and even if there was, I think King Queen Jack 10, probably just a call here, pre-flop to the 4-bet. Flop's really interesting hand. I mean, this is just like. So King 10 and 4-6. Sauce is a wrap. I don't know why he checks back here. I guess maybe this is kind of really sick. So, in Sauce's perspective, he thinks that Isildur might bluff all the cards that make him a good hand, and on a hand like a turn. So basically, if the turn's an ace, a king, or a queen, or a jack, Sauce might think that Isildur will not bet those cards, because when Sauce checks back, he has a hand that's that. So on the cards that make Sauce's hand, he makes the nuts. Isildur's probably going to bet into him. On the cards that, in theory, will hit a check back range for him in this spot, Sauce can then decide to either check back again the turn or bet the turn semi-bluffing. So it's definitely, man. In a 4-bet pot, you just kind of see somebody say, there's so much money in the pot, let me bet, let me take it down. But this is really, I'm going to turn the light on here real quick. Okay, we got a little light on here. But yeah, this is definitely some very interesting play by Sauce. God, Sauce is such a beast. So tricky. Most people just would not check back here in this spot. In Sauces, they're just going to bet. Get the money in. Let's do it. Let's get it in. Let's try. But Sauce here thinking about how can I win $45,000 more effectively. Obviously does protect his hands in the future too. But turn as played is Jack of Clubs. So as there obviously turns top 2 pair in a straight draw. He pots it. Sauce calls with a 7-8-9. So he's got a club draw and obviously still has a wrap. River's a queen, and Isildur goes all in. He does block. So I think in this spot, he most likely thinks Sauce has a hand like aces that he checked back the flop with, and probably not aces with a king. So he decides to make I don't even think it's that thin. I mean, he's betting 17,000 at 81,000. I think that's just fine. If Sauce has a hand that beats him, Sauce is going to bet the river anyway. If Sauce has miss clubs, he's probably not going to bet the river anyway. If Sauce has aces, he's probably going to bet the river. So I like Isilur's play. Unfortunately, Sauce has a straight and takes it down. And last hand here is... Man, Sauce runs so good. Although to be fair, he probably was going to win this hand on the river anyway. Isildur 3 bets, 10 jack, 6-8. Obviously, Isildur not playing great at this point in time. Sauce calls 5-7-7-4. But once again, it is PLO. How bad can it be to 3-bet a hand like a 10 jack, 6-8? How bad can it be? It's a run. How bad can it really be? Flops king 6-3. Sauce has a wrap. Isildur's got a pair and a couple back doors. Bet 6,500. Sauce calls. Turn 9 of clubs. Isildur bets 12.5K. Sauce floats, trying to represent a flush in a later street, but he doesn't need to. River's a 4. He shows down his hand, probably tilted the fuck out of Isildur like this motherfucker. But wins the hand. Like his play, though, he's probably just going to bluff. I mean, he's not probably. He's going to bluff when check 2 on the river and win it a large majority of the time. So, like his play. And, yeah, those are the hands, guys. Final results, Isildur down $1 million. Isildur down near $1 million. BTT Tech, dbre, and Sauce. Clean up, 662 for Sauce, 445. BTT Tech. Once again, we have another great narrative here by RL Galde. Could have easily stopped after the $1 million comeback. LDO liked it, obviously. Decided to sleep. Hopped to PLO again where it all went wrong. Seems like his ego is in the way big time. He doesn't give a shit about $1 million, obviously. Just wants to battle top field players and come out on top. I get that. This is just his personality and the reason why he wins so much in a short time in the first place. But still, he should consider his life at some point. Seems like his destiny is a gambling addict, with the aspect of feeling entitled to beat every player every time. Can't take long before full tilt drops him off. I mean, promoting responsible poker playing, but sponsoring such a player makes no sense. Makes no sense. And even the mass is going to notice. Yo, amen, RL Galdaway. Hey, fucking men, buddy. Unfortunately, Full Tilt, I believe, already did drop him. I don't think he's ever sponsored by Full Tilt. But, as Anfield posted this graph, allegedly, Isildur was still up about $340,000 in the past couple weeks. So, not all sadness on Isildur's one part. And at last sighting, I believe today, he was playing Hollywood Hacks and some 200-400 heads up. We'll get that in next week's episode, because I'm going to do an episode next week on Monday Night High Stakes Poker. But last seen, Isildur was playing mixed games when won $220,000 more in 6-4 hands. So there's hope, guys. Isildur could come back. Isildur will be back. Maybe you should stay away from the heads up PLO. I know the heads up PLO guys are going to be mad at me saying that. But, I mean, for the sake of us, he shouldn't. But as the poet R.L. Galdaway put it, seems like his destiny is a gambling addict. Disprove that destiny, Isildur. Disprove it. Guys, part 2, you want to check it out? Link. Description. Link. Sidebar. Thanks for watching. Let me know how you guys liked it. And that's it. See you guys later.